I'm going to call this meeting to order. Please stand and join me for the invocation in the Pledge of Allegiance. Dear Lord, we invite you to preside over this meeting. Even if we have different opinions, give us unity of spirit. Help us listen politely as others share their points of view. Help us to work as a whole rather than as individuals trying to promote their own agendas. May we have a spirit of camaraderie in this room and work together on our shared mission. Protect our first responders and military men and women wherever they may be serving. Amen. Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Commissioner McCullough.
Here.
Commissioner Gray.
Here.
Commissioner Farmer.
Here.
Commissioner Hutman.
Here.
And Chair Martin.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to start with public comment for non-agenda items. Comments can only be for items under the authority of the Board of County Commissioners. The time limit is 3 minutes. I have no comment cards, so we're going to move on to public comment for agenda items. Except for quasi-judicial items, any member of the public can address any item on the agenda now or wait until the matter is addressed. The time limit is also 3 minutes, and I have no comment cards submitted for that either. So that will move us into expansion items. County Manager, you have any expansion items?
None today, sir, thank you.
County Attorney?
I do have one expansion item. If the board would consider expanding to consider the resolution we discussed on Monday evening, I have that amending resolution before you and would like to expand the agenda to consider it at the county attorney's items.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to add the expansion item, the
So
county
moved.
attorney's expansion item under new business.
Second.
A motion from Commissioner Gray, second from Commissioner Hutman. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So that will go under new business. And for what I think most of the crowd is here for, we have a proclamation, tab A. Approve a proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners proclaiming the week of May 19th through May 25th, 2024 as Emergency Medical Services Week in Nassau County, Florida. Entertain a motion on tab A.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Hutman, second by Commissioner Farmer. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And would the folks that I am going to present this proclamation to, please join me at the podium. We have plenty of room. Put you at the top of the list because I know you're all anxious to get back to the station. Yes, sir. All right. Excuse me. A proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners proclaiming the week of May 19th through May 25th, 2024 as Emergency Medical Services Week in Nassau County, Florida. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours per day, 7 days per week. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas emergency medical services has grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventive medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. And whereas the emergency medical service system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers, which I think we have a pretty good showing of that cross-section of folks that work in your profession here today. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Therefore, Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, this 15th day of May, 2024, that the board hereby proclaims the week of May 19th through May 25th, 2024, as Emergency Medical Services Week in Nassau County, Florida. The board commends all emergency medical services workers and extends their gratitude to them for protecting the citizens of Nassau County, Florida. And it's signed by me as chairman of the Board of County Commissioners, John Crawford, our clerk, and Denise May, our county attorney. Where's my photographer? Okay. You guys want to come on over here and see if you want to do it in the middle? Come on, all you folks in uniform, get up here. All right, make sure you can see her, she can see you.
All right, 1, 2, 3.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, we thank you so much for this proclamation. Chief Rigdon, Chief Silcox of Fernandina Beach, myself, and Chief Murillo are really the support agency for these men and women right here. These men and women do all the work out there. They go to the middle of the night, they go to storms. Everything they do, we support their mission. And because of you guys, we can do it even a better job. Dr. Branoff, our Emergency Medical Services Director, is a director for Fernandina and Nassau County. He provides an aggressive EMS approach to Nassau County. You can rest assured that you have some of the best caregivers up here in Nassau County. I would have my family taken care of by these guys. So if that's the case, I think you can rest assured they do a great job out there. And we thank you very much for your support. Thanks again.
And we understand you guys and gals have to get back to it, so you're not going to hurt our feelings if you leave. Okay, before we move into tab B, Commissioner Gray would like to say a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. Today, we have a special guest in our audience who's going to be coming up and giving us a presentation. Her name is Miss Lauren Walters. Lauren Walters has been a member of the Nassau County 4-H for the last 8 years. Lauren's focus is in equine science projects and is an active horse shower. Lauren was named a 2020-2021 4-H'er of the Year, as well as one of the winning national hippology contestants. Lauren will be presenting a speech she gave at Nassau County 4-H events, which won a blue ribbon as well as Best Overall Public Speaking Entry for the year. I had the pleasure of judging the event and meeting Lauren, and so I wanted to say those words and introduce her when she comes to the podium today. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to do that.
You're welcome, Commissioner Gray, and our first presentation is tab B, and I'll go ahead and make the introduction. Ms. Waters, would you please come to the podium for Nassau County 4-H County Events, Best Overall Public Speaking Entry, and welcome. You have 15 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Lauren Walters. I'm 17 years old, and today I'm going to be telling you about the First Amendment and your right to free assembly. The First Amendment serves not only the needs of the polity, but also those of the human spirit, a spirit that demands self-expression. Thurgood Marshall. On December 15th, 1791, the First Amendment was ratified. It is a part of the first 10 amendments, the Bill of Rights of the Constitution. Originally, 17 amendments were proposed for the Bill of Rights. However, this was narrowed down to 12. The first 2 were not ratified, though, which is how the First Amendment became the First Amendment. The First Amendment allows the freedom of religion, assembly, press, petition, and speech. At the time the Bill of Rights were adopted, the views of the First Amendment were that the rights of the individuals needed to be protected, but the power of the government needed to be contained. Today we are going to talk about how the Supreme Court's views have changed on the right to peaceably assemble, how technology has affected the right to peaceably assemble, and where both political parties stand on this topic. The Supreme Court's view, technology, and both political parties' stances on the right to peaceably assemble have changed some over the years. However, it is still one of the most important rights protected under the First Amendment. The first thing I'm going to talk about is how the Supreme Court's views on the right to assemble has changed. When the Bill of Rights were adopted, the Supreme Court viewed the right to peaceably assemble similarly to how they view it today. In the First Amendment, it says that the government cannot abridge your right to peaceably assemble. The 1937 case, DeJong v. State of Oregon, helped the Supreme Court recognize the importance of this freedom. In this case, it was ruled that holding meetings for peaceable political action cannot be prohibited. More recently, there have been mixed views on the right to peaceably assemble, with both riots from George Floyd's death as well as the January 6 riots over the election of President Joe Biden. While almost all of the people from the George Floyd riots, which were much more violent, are out of prison, the people from the January 6 riots are still in jail today, even though they were much more peaceful. This has caused some questions on whether or not the standards for the right to assemble are still the same. For the most part, the guidelines are still the same. However, some of the arrests that were made were outside of these guidelines. Now that I have talked about how the Supreme Court's views have changed, I will talk about how technology has affected the right to assemble. Technology could easily help or hinder grant access to the right to assemble. Having access to the internet can help people connect with one another even if they cannot get together in person. Having different platforms that allow people to message and video chat make it easier to make plans or simply enjoy one another's company. This can also make community outreach easier. Like Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. said, a mind that is stretched by a new experience can never go back to its old dimensions. Now that we have all had the luxury of these things, it would be very difficult to go back to our old means of communication. Even though there can be setbacks with using technology, such as having no power or internet or being restricted from what you can post online, overall I believe the impact that technology has had on the right to assemble has been positive. Since I have now talked about the Supreme Court's views on the right to assemble and how technology has affected the right to assemble, I will now talk about where each political party stands on the topic. Both the Republican and Democratic parties are, for the most part, supporters of the right to assemble. Some Republicans have stricter views on this and want to restrict the right to assemble more than the Democratic Party. They are more reserved about assembling and speaking out about things. The Democratic Party has looser views and promotes people to assemble and use their free speech. It is more common for people of the Democratic Party to use this right to speak up and protest for things they believe in. Today I have talked about how the Supreme Court's views have changed, how technology has affected the right to assemble, and where both political parties stand on the topic. The First Amendment protects so many of the rights we use every single day, for school, or meetings, or sports. It gives us the right to gather and have our own opinions. Assembly is one of the most important elements of the First Amendment, because without it, our other rights protected under the First Amendment would be limited. As Franklin Delano Roosevelt said, freedom of conscience, of education, of speech, of assembly are among the very fundamentals of democracy, and all of them would be nullified should freedom of press ever be successfully challenged. Thank you.
That was very well done, and you are a prime example of why I believe the future is bright. Any commissioners have any comments or questions for Ms. Walker?
Of course, I'm going to congratulate you because I know I have students all the time and they're so nervous about getting up in front of people. But I would just say, keep at it, sis, because I'm so proud of you. And I hope one day you are sitting right here in my seat. Don't let other people defer you from being passionate about what you believe in, because you give me hope. So thank you so much.
Well, to piggyback on that, when do you turn 18?
In November.
When?
November 2nd.
Oh, well, you may have some
Hey, come on. Hey, I will gladly support your campaign. Okay? You've got your first donation right here,
You
okay?
just got that on the record.
Yes.
Mr.
Commissioner
Chairman,
Gray.
Mr. Chairman, this is why she won the blue ribbon. She's very professional. the speech was wonderful. Lauren, you got a great future ahead of you. I'm so proud of you, and it was a pleasure to judge you and all the 4-Hers. It was a wonderful event. So thank you for coming today and sharing with us.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Commissioner Farmer.
Your breath of fresh air. Do you get butterflies at all?
A little bit.
I appreciate the honesty. We all do it. I do too. So, the things that I shouldn't get butterflies is the things that give me the butterflies. I'll be in a sporting event or something with, 4 or 5 families, and it'll creep in on me. So you just keep doing what you're doing, because I'm gonna tell you that the more you do it, the more you practice it, and the more you realize that we're all just real people like you, the better you'll become. But you're truly a breath of fresh air. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hutman.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. The First Amendment is one thing that makes America so unique in the world, and it's a blessing on our country. So thanks for reminding folks why it's so important.
So besides running for county commissioner in 2026, what are your future plans?
I plan to go to the University of Florida and become a veterinarian.
Very good. Go Gators.
So you might not be running to like maybe 20.
You have some time.
Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And you're not, I know you have your family here with us. You're not going to hurt our feelings if you want to leave now. And kudos to your parents. They've done a great job. Okay, that brings us to tab C. Recognize Nassau County and Emergency Management as a National Weather Service storm-ready county and as a National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration weather-ready nation ambassador. Director Cooper.
Good morning. Young lady, if you want to volunteer as soon as you turn 18, we could always use you. You'll have to get those volunteer hours for college anyway. Boy, I got the luck of the draw this morning, right? I get to
Yeah,
go
you
after a
get to
award-winning public speaker. And the firefighters who are all in better shape than me and have very fresh mustaches. So I didn't get the best luck this morning. So are we up here with a sign? So we have some signage behind us too that they give us that we're going to make sure that y'all have one of those signs, and we'll put the other one they give us up at the Emergency Operations Center out there. Before I talk about Storm Ready, I want to thank my staff out at EM for the commitment to continue to do things like this for this community. Whether it's the initiative for hands-only CPR, which is above and beyond, of course, as y'all know, what we have to do in emergency management. Cooperation with 4-H and putting the youth emergency training program together. They just continue to impress me in not only what we do that's the standard by 252, but the things that we do that are above and beyond that. And I cannot do that without myself. I can't do it without the support of all you guys, and I certainly can't do it without the staff that's here to support me today. Being storm ready is more than a designation. It is awarded to communities that demonstrate a high level of preparedness and are dedicated to protecting and preserving the lives in the face of severe weather. In addition to meeting the rigorous criteria to be recognized as storm ready, Nassau EM has been recognized as a weather ready nation ambassador. And that's a step above, and again, it speaks to the volumes of the work that they continuously put in, because this is the first time we've reached that level to be ambassador. We've been storm ready recognized before. We have to re-up that every 2 years, but this is the first time that has happened. This program formally recognizes communities striving to improve our nation's readiness, responsiveness, and resilience against extreme weather events. Also, want to brag on Fernandina. They're going to be doing this in front of their commission. We had the experience, and they reached out to us, and we also helped them. So this is the first time that the city of Fernandina is going to be recognized as storm ready as well. So anybody have any questions, concerns, or comments?
I hope we have a light hurricane season.
I 100% agree
Like
with
no
you.
hurricanes.
100% agree with you. We do have a lot of good volunteer opportunities though. So the minute you turn 18, come out there. So,
Commissioner Farmer.
I want you to work on that mustache before you come back.
I can't afford the extra money we have to pay to grow facial hair.
I got a Sharpie marker in my briefcase. If you want some help after the meeting, just.
I sometimes tease, that's why I got into law enforcement instead of firefighting, because I can't grow that good mustache. But
You wanna come up here to the podium, show that sign off? We kind of see you in the background.
we will present it to you if you would like
Oh,
to come
sure,
out there.
sure. And I'm going to backtrack after this with Ms. Walters and her family. I think we should get a photo op with you, with the commission over here.
While he's coming up, I just want to comment, Tim and Martha, I think you guys are exceptional at what you do, and I hope that we never have to see your expertise in action.
We certainly hope the same thing, but
Yes,
we
sir.
want to be prepared in case we do, right?
So do I get to keep it? You do. I get to take it home? Probably not.
That's reflective too, man. That's gonna be neat.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it's going to show up in the picture. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Director Cooper.
Ms. Walters, would you and your family come up here? Commissioners, come, please join me.
Yes. You have to grow the mustache with That's a challenge.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do too.
Yeah, let's get you. Okay, now make sure you can see.
Everybody see? This side.
One, two, three.
All right, great. Good job. All right, okay, that moves us into tab D, presentation of certificates to Mr. Stephen Hallmark, Facilities Technician 1, and Mr. James Morgan, Journeyman Electrician Maintenance Technician, recognizing them as Nassau County's Employees of the Quarter. County Manager.
Director Metz is coming to the podium. She'll address you. It looks like she has Mr. Podiak tagging along.
I think he's coming. So as you're aware, the county a couple years ago implemented the customer care standards, basically creating the service philosophy of the county. And in conjunction with that, the employee recognition program was created. And this quarter, 2 facilities employees were selected, Stephen Hallmark and J.D. Morgan, for their exceptional service.
Good morning, Commissioners. I can say that J.D. and Stephen are 2 of the finest Nassau County employees that we have on staff at Public Works. We have to promote Public Works as much as we can. They're 2 of the best. So Stephen had a project where he was working on the netting at the sports field. The netting was actually put up, the netting was actually a little bit too long. We could have let it go, it would have been okay, but Stephen went above and beyond. He actually researched how to shorten the netting, weave the netting back into the steel cables, and suspend it so it was in the most pristine, professional manner. So, but that's just part of what Stephen does. Stephen does that on a daily basis with everything that he actually does. So congratulations to Stephen on that. And JD is an electrician, and I say that lightly. JD is a high-power electrician with FPL.
Electrician,
He does commercial, he does industrial, he does residential, he does communications, he does electronics, he does everything. So we had an incident at the EOC where the generator switchgear went bad. JD grabbed it, he ran with it, he got a hold of the contractors. We were down about, I want to say, 9 months for this project, but during that time, JD made sure that everything ran flawlessly, and he coordinated the entire effort. So, again, above and beyond what a normal employee does, JD does on a daily basis. So, thank you.
County Manager, would you join me over? You're gonna get in the picture.
It's truly an honor, truly an honor. I guess if there's anything that I could say led to this moment, I want to say thank you to those first responders, because if it weren't for their life-saving rescue on me here about 4 years ago, I wouldn't be standing here today to receive this. I got crushed between 2 trucks at Florida Power and Light, and almost bled to death. But those guys saved my life. So it's pretty cool to watch that happen with them today. And then I don't know if anybody here is an acronym person, but I am. And I learned an acronym coming out of high school when I joined the Army. And it's a simple one, but it's leadership minus the E. It's LDRSHIP is something that they taught in basic training at the infantry school there at Fort Benning. And that stood for loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. And I remember the drill sergeants pounding that in my head. And every place I've ever worked since then, I always bring that attitude to the table. Every decision I make, everything that happens, those are the principles that I utilize to make decisions. So I want to thank my drill sergeants as well. So outside of that, that's all I got. Thank y'all. It's truly an honor.
How do you follow that?
I just want to thank the county for giving me the opportunity to work for the county, and I love doing my job, helping citizens out, and just thank everyone for this.
Thank you.
Right on. Cool. Yeah, thanks, Tom. Ready?
Commissioner Farmer.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, JD was working on the switch gear over there for that generator, and I just happened to be coming out of the EOC. I don't know, he probably remembers me walking by, and I said, hey, man, I said, can I borrow you for just a minute? And he goes, what for? I said, well, being an attention to detail guy, I said, there's a piece of rebar sticking up out of one of these curb stops. And I said, if some old lady were to trip and fall or something, I said, I could just see it now where that piece of rebar, you know, may be impaled upon somebody or what have you. I said, do you mind stopping and coming over and helping me with this? He goes, no, you're absolutely right. He stopped and came over there right then and went over with a hammer and beat that thing down into the ground. And that doesn't mean anything to anybody else, but it means a lot to me being a supervisor my whole entire career. You know, that it just shows that, you know, somebody's willing to stop, listen to you, and help you. And, you know, he didn't know me from Adam that day, you know, because I was probably dressed in a pair of overalls. But, you know, well, maybe not. I don't know. You know, most guys know that's my brand at this point in the game. But, you know, it's just neat to see that, you know, JD's a team player. He's all about safety. And I appreciate you guys very much because you guys tote a big, heavy load, and it doesn't go unrecognized. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're going to move into tab E, which is recognize county employees for years of service. County manager.
So we have two individuals we're going to recognize today. The first one is Mr. Walter Price. So he has 30 years with Nassau County, 30 years. And I started thinking about it. We were talking about it this morning, actually yesterday, Assistant County Manager Ironman and Human Resource Director Metz were talking about the evolution of what is now called Public Works, but it was Road and Bridge, and then there was Facilities Maintenance, and they had different names over the years. But to think about the evolution over a 30-year career in those departments, the advancements that have been made, and then ultimately the part that Mr. Price played in bringing us forward over the last 30 years is much appreciated. And I'm going to turn it over to Darren at this point.
Good morning, and, you know, this is a privilege to be here to, you know, to recognize someone with 30 years of service. And, you know, one thing about Walter is he's all business. You know, I usually try to find something funny to say, but, you know, Walter's probably the most loyal and dedicated and strongest work ethic anybody I've ever met. You know, in the 30 years of service, he spent over 20 of it in the sign department. And that sign department plays a big vital role in the safety of our public, you know, stop signs, yield signs, all that he's responsible for, and he takes that serious. And he's, in that, his 30 years here, he has brought that sign department a long way. Just at one time, it was a little two-man crew, now they're running 4 people, and you all that he takes serious, and, he feels responsible for everything that goes on with them signs, and you won't find a more, loyal, dedicated worker than you will Walter Price, and I just appreciate it, and, thank you for all the work you do.
Just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So next we have, with 20 years in service in Nassau County, is Sabrina Robertson. And so we were talking this morning, and Sabrina reminded me that over her 20 years, she's now worked for 7 county managers. And so, she's had some adventures over the years and different experiences. I think she went through 5 in a 5-year period or in a 4-year period. So you talk about what staff goes through when you lack continuity. And I say it kind of in jest, but in reality, it's a demonstration of a really strong personality trait is adaptability. So as leadership changes, she stays steady, she stays the course, she maintains organization and continuity through operations. And so that's something that is extremely valuable when you have an organization of this size and this complex, is that you have people that are in positions to where the whole world around them may be changing and it may be in chaos. They stay steady and keep trains running. And at one point, now that you all have been in your seats for a while, you could probably appreciate it that at one point it was just Sabrina and I as county manager, and she was my only helper. And then we brought poor Amy along unsuspectedly. We were joking that Sabrina said, "It won't always be like this, just come on over," And so it's with great gratitude, we recognize Sabrina today, and I know that Amy is going to say a few words as well.
Here you go. Good morning, Commissioners. So you all know Sabrina very well, but I thought it would be appropriate to say a few things about her. So for 20 years, Sabrina has been the face and the voice of the Board of County Commissioners in the county manager's office. So that being said, Taco's isn't lying. It was always Sabrina and a county manager. So she answered the phone, she saw people in person when they would come to the window. But Sabrina's just dedicated. She lives in the community, she's local, she raises her child here, and so it's important to her, the product that we put out. So she always works really hard to portray a message that everyone can understand and read and know what's happening in their community. But yes, Sabrina is 100% responsible for recruiting me. About 2 weeks into COVID, I was working at the extension office and she said, "Come on over, we have an opening." At that time, the county attorney, the county manager, and all of their employees were in the county attorney's office. So you can imagine the personalities of all the folks in there was very trying, especially during COVID. About 2 weeks in, I sat about 15 feet from Sabrina. She peeks her head out. She said, "Amy, I promise it won't always be like this." And while she was right, it wasn't in the way she was intending. But I think she deserves the recognition. She puts out your annual report. She puts out your monthly newsletters. And she's just really dedicated to everyone and such a resource of knowledge. People still call her for historical information. "Did you know so-and-so?" "Yeah, he was a building person." She does it flawlessly and with a little bit of anxiety, but we won't hold that against her.
So I know I'm the public information officer, but as you all know, I really don't like talking at the podium. But I do want to thank you all for your support. It's been a crazy 20 years, but I do appreciate the opportunity to work here in my county. I love it, so thank you very much.
Okay, that moves us into the consent items. If any board member wishes to move a consent item to new business, please do so now. Does any member of the public want to speak on a consent item? All right, I'll entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Gray, second from Commissioner Farmer, to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, that'll take us to new business, and the first item under new business will be County Attorney's expansion item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As mentioned on Monday night's meeting, we talked about at your winter strategic planning session, the amendment of some of your rules of order, your rules of meetings, and the rules of decorum. In that, it will be beginning June 3rd. Your meetings will move on Monday nights from 6 p.m. to 5 p.m. So we will do good noticing, if that's something you approve tonight, to make sure that the public is aware of that as much as we can. In your order of business, your public comment period for non-agenda items will move to the end of your business agenda, but just before our county manager, county attorney, and county commission items. Also, there is some clarification in your rules of decorum, and it addresses the speaker cards, which you had asked that everyone know that they needed to fill out the speaker cards and get those to the clerk prior to the meeting. And if there are any questions for me, I'm here to answer them. If not, I'm asking for a motion to approve resolution number 2024-092, amending your 2022 resolution.
Commissioner McCullough?
I have one question, Ms. May. You did mention I know we talked about the public for non-agenda being at the bottom, and I see the strike through on the agenda items, but the agenda items will still come up at new business, the public comment, correct?
Correct. We're
Okay, I
not
just-
striking the agenda items, it's just that we call for it so many times.
Yes,
It's
ma'am.
repetitive.
Okay, thank you. I saw the red strike through, but then it came to new business, and then I saw the 3 minutes. Wanted to double check
Yes,
on
ma'am,
clarification.
and it's good to
Thank you.
point out to the public that we're not striking that, but we're already called for it before consent items, we call for it before new business, and so it's repetitive.
Thank you, Ms. May.
Any other Commissioner Farmer?
I'd just like to make a motion to approve 2024-092.
Second?
Got a motion from Commissioner Farmer, second by Commissioner Huffman. Any further discussion?
If I may, I don't think we,
Commissioner Huffman.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. The reason for moving it up an hour, 5 PM instead of 6 PM, I don't know that we've orated that. Really, the staff is here for many hours on these evening meetings, and so sliding it up to a 5 PM start will hopefully get people home to their families a little bit earlier than the 6 PM start. So that was the impetus behind that move. We're not trying to shift everybody's schedule off, we're just trying to get people home to their families within a reasonable time. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Huffman. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. May.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And I forgot to say this before we moved into new business. Any member of the public may address any item under new business at this time. The time limit is 3 minutes each. Is there anyone who wishes to address any item under new business? You can do so now or wait until it comes up on the agenda. Ms. Carey? Please state your name and address for the record.
Sandy Carey, 1255 Forest Drive, Fernandina Beach. I'm here because of my concern about the economic development grant that's being given to Lignotech, which is the leasing for the property owned by Ryam. As you know, there's a lot of controversy going on right now about the bioethanol plant, and I have a real concern with $333,000 plus of our tax dollars being given as a tax rebate or grant award, whatever you want to call it, for a process that is going to be detrimental to our island. I think that money could be well spent elsewhere. Citizens are totally opposed to it. It's going to cause loss of life. We could put it towards maybe creating a hazmat team that we need desperately in this county. Our emergency preparedness site is good. It talks about evacuation routes and things for hurricanes, but we have nothing. If you've read anything at all about bioethanol fuel and the volatility of it and the disasters it can cause, we have nothing to protect the residents of our small 13-mile island. And this is being built, as you know, within very short distance from homes, schools, and it's under FDEP review right now. And a petition has been filed for a hearing for them to look at that again. So I would strongly suggest, I see from the letter that was sent to Chairman Martin by the Economic Development Committee, Board, Sherry Mitchell, that it's an optional thing that you give this to them, that you can do it, or you can do it impartial, or you don't have to do it at all. And I think the citizens of our county are very much against this, because you're paying Rayonier, who is the owner, Ryan, whatever you want to call it, the owner of this property. Lignotech is just a leasee who's using the property, and this is not something that's going to help our community. It's definitely helping them, and I don't disagree that, they supplied 50 jobs or supposedly $110 million in capital. I'm not sure about everything, because I tried to get some more detailed information from the appraiser's office, only to find out that the TPP information they sent to the county for their value increases, which went from $52,998 in base year 2018. It jumped to $52,895,434. That's a huge increase. And unfortunately, those records are protected, but your tax appraiser's office have it. And I would just say that we want to make sure that these details they have sent to you are in fact correct, just as the number of jobs that were supposedly produced. But let's find a better way to deal with this, gentlemen. You have the power to do that, and I'm asking you, especially Commissioner Martin and Hupman as our representatives for Amelia Island. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gary. Ms. Dean, do you want to speak now or wait till it comes up on the agenda?
I'll just go ahead and speak now.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Amy Dean, 112 North 14th Street, Fernandina Beach. So I want to know, how is it possible that an economic development grant is being given to the Lignotech LLC, which is a foreign corporation? Is this possible under county code? Like, can we give, a grant to a foreign company? Like, is that okay?
We're not going to answer questions during this comment section
Okay.
because you decided to do it before we had it come up on the
Okay.
agenda. So when we get to the agenda item P, where we'll have board discussion, then
Okay.
if any commissioner or county manager wants to address that question, they can.
Okay, can I come back up?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay. Can somebody make a mark that that question needs to be answered?
I just put it on the record.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. It moves us into tab O, acceptance of the portion of the Curiosity roadway construction as complete and ratification of the 26-month maintenance period for the roadway, which will run through June 25th, 2024, pending the resolution of any outstanding issues remaining as evidenced by an inspection and punch list. Final acceptance of the roadway is subject to Wildlife LLC providing deeds and other information as determined by the county attorney for the county to take ownership of the road. So I'll entertain a motion for tab O.
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Gray.
I'd like to make a motion to approve tab O, please.
Second?
I have a motion from Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner McCullough. Any questions, comments, or discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Tab P, approve and authorize the chairman to sign the East Nassau, I'm sorry. This should have been under tab O, and I don't think I said that, but just for the record, I don't think it would make any difference. I neglected the last paragraph under tab O, approve and authorize the chairman to sign the East Nassau County Planning Area Mobility Improvement Reservation Agreement with Wildlight LLC, contract number CM 3669.
Through the chair.
Do I need another motion?
No,
for that?
you've clarified what was already in the record,
Okay.
and the vote has been taken in the affirmative for that.
Okay, so that
Yes.
satisfies that.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
That's what I was gonna ask, through the chair. Yeah.
Okay, so that moves us into tab P, and I have a comment card from Mr. Jack Imber. Please come to, Mr. Imber, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. And you have 3 minutes.
G'day, Jack Imber, 1003 Broome Street, Fernandina Beach. Appreciate you guys. This is a very cordial setting. I'd like our mayor, Bean, to come here and see how this is operating. It's very nice. I appreciate you. And I just want to say, I want a tax break. I want a tax break. We all want a tax break. I don't think it's appropriate under the circumstances for Lignitech / Rainier, who's ever really going to benefit from this. It's against our comprehensive plan. I don't know if you guys have been reading the paper, but your comprehensive plan is your constitution in your area. And I just think all this is being snuck under the wire. It's very opportunistic. They're asking for a tax break now. I just think it's all like a tidal wave coming on the people of Fernandina. And as Ms. Carey pointed out, our emergency services are self-admittedly not adequate. My background is in explosives. You know, I deal as a civilian EOD all over the world, all over the United States. And this really concerns me enough to get a hold of the ATF&E and have them weigh in on this, because their very purpose is to save the public from explosive harm and other harm from alcohol, tobacco, firearms. But specifically, they get really involved in explosives. And I think given the potentially hazardous situation on a second-generation bioethanol plant, from all I've been able to research, this will involve at least a primary detonation of volatile substances at some point, because everybody knows who works anywhere that people aren't as careful as they used to be. They don't go over the same safety protocols that they should be doing. One slip up and you've got a runaway chemical reaction, and these can be devastating. The worst possible case is it takes out our residences in the neighborhood. We're very, very close to this ethanol plant, and school is within half a mile. We've got evacuation problems. We just can't handle it. So I'm coordinating with the Nassau County Emergency Management and trying to figure out a way around this. But I don't think there is one, really, logically and practically. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ember. Okay, that moves us into tab P. Consider the following. 1, approve grant reimbursements for the Lignotech Economic Grant Agreement, contract number CM 2327-A2, up to $335,970.40, or 2, provide additional direction on the payment of grant reimbursements for the Lignotech Economic Grant Agreement submitted, portion thereof or none at all. Assistant County Manager Ironman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Please, I don't know if you were prepared for some of the questions that were raised there, but I would ask, I'm assuming you took notes.
Yes.
I would ask you to address those concerns.
Perfect. We will try to address those and see if there are other questions at the end. So one thing to kind of put on the record is the action before you today is unrelated to the bioethanol component. In 2016, the Board of County Commissioners at that time entered into this economic development grant with Lignotech. The intent in that time was to essentially build economic development of a $110 million investment. That $110 million investment was concluded in 2019. They had two major criteria. They had to complete that $110 million investment. That was about a 275,000 square foot facility. And that is for the advanced manufacturing of high purity natural lignin, lignin-based products out of that location. And so I do want to kind of just make clear, this is 2016, it's for that component. As we look at things, those are disassociated from what we have here. They completed their requirements in 2019. They have exceeded that 51 jobs. They've exceeded the $110 million investment. Today this is the 5th year, so it's a 10-year agreement. We've provided 5 years with a 75% tax rebate, essentially. This will be the 5th year in, so that 335,000, when we reach next year, they will be in the 6th year. That drops to a 50% reimbursement. That will essentially provide about $112,000 or $112,000 back to the community. So that will be reduced going forward over the next 5 years, and then it will be terminated, and all of those funds will be invested in the community. And that's one of the benefits of this economic development grant, is it helps to provide those critical investments into the community, develop high-paying jobs here, and really grow. And so, you know, again, this goes back to 2016 where it was executed by the board. You're under that agreement, and that leads us through today. We did look quickly on Lignotech. They're actually incorporated in Delaware, and so they do have a corporation established within the U.S. And if I missed any other items or you need
There
additional
was
detail,
a mention about, please don't ask questions from the gallery. There was something about the comp plan. I'm not sure if Mr. Ember was talking about the Fernandina Beaches comp plan. I think so, and I think it was related to this bioethanol plant, but that's not, it's unrelated to what we're doing here.
correct.
Okay. Any other commissioners have any questions for Mr. Ironman?
I don't have any questions. I got a comment.
Commissioner Farmer?
I was just gonna say that these incentives, they were negotiated back in 2016 and 2017 with prior boards. I was elected to serve on this board in 2020, and I followed all this stuff from being out there in the crowd where you guys are. And so we saw all this go on. Some of us may have agreed with incentives, and some of us may have disagreed with incentives, but at the end of the day, the prior board agreed to give Lignotech the incentives. So all we're doing now is we're just following through on obligations that was set forth in motion by a prior board. So I wanted to let you guys know that this is totally unrelated to any future plans that go on down there at this time. I mean, this has nothing, Tab P has nothing to do with bioethanol plant at all. This is fulfilling obligations that were set forth by a prior board, if that makes sense.
And I might add to that, good faith obligations that were made.
Correct.
That, in my opinion, if we were to try to reverse that right now, good luck being trustworthy in the future to any business that would give an incentive to come here.
Yeah.
Who's talking?
Yeah.
Please stop. Thank you.
Yeah, these.
Commissioner McCullough.
I think one of the things, and we talk about this quite frequently with multiple businesses that come in, is, you know, you hear residents say, oh, how come that business gets this big tax break? Well, my property's homesteaded and I'm green belted, but local government incentivizes business because your return on investment is tenfold. You come in and you bring in capital companies and you have no idea, that's what the only thing that reduces ad valorem taxes in this county. And so when you have these huge capital businesses that are here and they give people high wage jobs, okay, so what does that earner do? They go back into the community, they buy a house here, they support our police, they support our fire and teachers, and so we keep our economic engine going. And so yes, this was a decision that was made in 2016, but I'm here, still supporting this decision this day. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other commissioners?
I'd just like to piggyback the fact that this particular board is looking at the 4th consecutive millage rate reduction. So to your point about saying, I want a tax break, well, we're well on our way to that. It just shows the conservative nature of this board. And I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, I look forward to the day to where I can say, hey, even it might be $20. I'd be tickled to death to see a $20 reduction because I'm with you. And so since I've sat on this board, 4 consecutive millage rate reductions, and that needs to be noted. So, like I said, Tab P has nothing to do with bioethanol plant whatsoever. We're just fulfilling obligations that was set in motion by a prior board.
Any other questions? Comments? I'll entertain a motion on tab P.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Hutman, second by Commissioner Farmer. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Tab Q, set special meeting on July 17th, 2024 at 10 a.m. for an update from Health Associates on Nassau County Vision 2050. Motion, entertain a motion on tab Q.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Hutman, second by Commissioner Farmer. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. County manager's business.
This Saturday, I know you guys are gonna talk about it, but we've got our opening of the beaches. You know, Brandy and Elizabeth, they've worked really hard to pull together this event. It's not only a great opportunity to build community and socialize with your neighbors, but it's also a catalyst for participation in the 2050 Vision exercise that's going on. I am looking forward to the special meeting with the team from HAF. They'll be coming in from Texas for that event. They're going to talk with you individually. The team, the public engagement team that's on this project will be at the opening of the beaches all day, will be in the event. My team will be there, and we'll have some of the folks from All Together. They specialize in the civic engagement component of it. And so please stop by, participate, do the exercises. If you're out walking about in the crowd, send them over to the Vision tent, you know, and have them participate. So, thank you.
County attorney's business.
I have no further business, thank you.
County commission. Commissioner Gray.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to thank Ms. Lauren Walters for her presentation she gave here today to the board on the First Amendment. It was a very good presentation speech, and I want to thank her again. Last night I had the pleasure, along with Commissioner Farmer, I believe he was there with us in attendance, attending the Take Stock in Children graduation and induction ceremony. I try to make that every year. It was truly a wonderful event to see all the youth here from all of our local high schools throughout the county graduate through the program, and they're off building, going to college and building their future and career. Hopefully come back to Nassau County, keep Nassau County great. It was a wonderful, wonderful event. Congratulate our employees of the quarter, Mr. Hallmark, Mr. Morgan. Congratulations for service, Mr. Price, 30 years, and Ms. Sabrina Robertson, 20 years. And that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Gray. Commissioner Farmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to piggyback on what Commissioner Gray said there. To Take Stock in Children graduation at Yulee High School was a fantastic event yesterday. I'd like to thank all the mentors and the mentees that work hard, and tell you it's a very humbling experience to hear some of those young people speak and say, look, you know, I wasn't a person that would even have thought 4 years ago I could stand up here at the podium and say hello to you guys, much less deliver a speech and thank the mentor that put me here. And so to see some of those young people moving forward, achieving some high marks and some college scholarships is really, really heartwarming to see that they've done that well. And it's a great organization. So if you got some free time, you know, dig in there. If you don't have free time, you got a couple free dollars. It's a very worthy place to put your money. Saturday, June 15th, coming up, we've got this event called the Carbecue, which is a nice car show and a steak cook-off that Mr. Hal Keene puts on up in Traders Hill, which is the recreation and campground area over in Charlton County, over out of Folkestone, off of Tracy Ferry Road. So if any of you guys have an old car, or you like to, you know, even some of the new cars, they have different divisions, best of show, car awards and stuff. Come out and join us for that Saturday, June 15th. They'll begin that morning about 9 a.m. and it usually gets done by 2 or 3 o'clock. But lots of giveaways, and all the proceeds benefit Hilliard's sports programs there. And so if you get the opportunity, come out and visit with us for that. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Farmer. Commissioner Hutman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Kudos to all that Commissioner Gray has already covered there. That was a good day. I like when we take these days and we get to catch up with our staffs and recognize folks who are doing great work for the county. So thanks to them. Thanks to Lauren for that reminder on the First Amendment. And then I appreciate the folks coming out and exercising that right on an agenda item. And I appreciate that we were complimented for our decorum and protocol, even if it got broken shortly after that gentleman complimented us on it, because talking from the gallery is not part of this process. So we were close. We were very close there. The other thing is, I just want to comment on that item again. You have an economic incentive from years ago that's, the company has met every check mark on there to maintain that agreement, and then we're supposed to pull the rug out from under them economically because there's a new activist thing going on, and that's okay. I'd like to hear your opinions on stuff, but it doesn't change the reality of economic development in Nassau County, nor will it. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Upton. Commissioner McCullough.
Yes, Lauren, I love listening to, my students. We had 2 students who come up to the podium in the fall, and they go on, and it's a privilege when you go and watch them compete at state, because you hear students from all around the state with different topics and everything like that. But I think that, it was a resounding note, and I heard Lauren's speech, and I heard it when we were in Orlando with several FFA students. It is amazing to see the amount of youth who have picked on their own, because there's a certain guidelines, but the number of youth who are going back and they're looking at these constitutional, they're not listening to what other people are saying. They're doing their own research, their own understanding, and they truly believe that America is is the greatest country on the face of the planet, and that we have this Constitution, that whether you have a Democratic or Republican Party, we have a constitutional republic that guides and guidelines us. So Lauren, thank you for understanding the history and actually trying to educate people on how that works. So I appreciate your effort so much. Congratulations to the fire and safety. That was definitely an exciting moment for me, because my daughter, who's graduating next Thursday, we were to meet with the FSCGA counselor on Wednesday, and on Tuesday night, she changed her major from nursing to fire, EMT, and police after spending last Friday with Chief Rigdon out at Station 70 with several of them. So it's a little nerve-wracking on the mom end, because you're like, okay, I don't want you just don't want your baby growing up, and it's scary, but I'm very excited. It's a testament to Nassau County, and I told Chief Rigdon that my daughter could spend one day on a rotation there with her CNA course, and she came home, and they're doing such great things in the county that it changed the trajectory of her whole entire life. And so to serve the fire and safety who can change children's lives and want to pour back into this community, it's just such a privilege. And so I thank Mr. Tim Cooper for all that they were doing, because, I think we all get a lot of calls, even after the storm winds we had last week. I was getting calls. I think people don't understand what EMS is constantly doing behind the scenes. We call EMS when there's a hurricane or fire like an emergency, but they are working 365 days behind the scenes so that we are prepared, so that whether it's a rough wind storm or a true hurricane, they have us prepared and ready. And then I want to our former mayor, Mr. Dave Buchanan, he passed away last week, but if you know Dave, like Big Dave, he was such a staple and an icon in the Hilliard community and all of Nassau County. He served on the economic development. He worked for the school board and transportation for years. He was our mayor. It didn't matter, Mr. Dave, so that he resides right up there by the school, but every morning he would have his cane and he would walk. He kept up with everything that was going on. It didn't matter. Dave was involved in every aspect of Nassau County. And so my condolences to his family, Ben, Huck, Morella. He's now with his wife, resting in peace. And so I thank him, I thank their family for all the time, he dedicated to his community. And it was just an honor and a privilege to know him. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner McCullough. Yes, condolences to the Buchanan family. I was trained when I first met him that it's pronounced Buchanan, not Buchanan. And so condolences to the family on Dave's passing. Yeah, he was pretty much an icon on the west side. He really was.
He just was. Big Dave was everywhere.
I don't want to be completely repetitive of everything that my colleagues have said, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention the opening of the beaches. I'm relying on Commissioner Huttman to serve as the chairman's role in the morning, Saturday morning, for the opening of the beaches. As I said at the last meeting, my grandson Zachary is testing for his black belt in karate Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. So I'm going to be there. because if not, he's going to be very upset. So, and I'm very proud of him. So I will be there, but as soon as I can, I'm going to make it out to the opening of the beaches. I understand we have a proclamation, a shared proclamation that we're going to deliver at right before 2 o'clock when the Honey Badgers, which somebody here might play with them, I'm not sure, but when the Honey Badgers take the stage at 2 o'clock. Am I correct?
It's a great show. We have a great show of his music lined up. for
Yeah,
2
so those of us that'll be there before I get there, don't let Mayor Bean steal the show and make that proclamation until I get there, because it's a shared proclamation between the city and the county.
I got your back, Mr.
There you go,
Chairman.
all right. And I really am looking forward to the opening of beaches and our vision tent exercise too. The Take Stock in Children event, I was unable to go to that because I had a prior commitment. I went to the Coalition for the Homeless meeting. It was out at the fire station in Callahan last night. And typically, they don't always meet on this night of the month. They typically meet on the third Thursday of the month. And I have another commitment that I can't get out of on the third Thursday of every month. And so whenever, they always invite me, and I always have to decline and say I have a conflict. So this time, they for whatever reason, they changed their meeting night, and I was able to go. So I went to the Coalition for the Homeless meeting last night. I thought I was only going to be like in the peanut gallery and listening, but they put me at the head table with 3 town councilmen from Callahan. And so I was like, I was in the limelight there, and of course, it came down to questions about the recent legislation that the governor has signed about shelters, for homeless shelters. I'm not going to go into detail here, but I just want to let the county attorney and county manager know that my response was, I'm not ready to answer those questions because our county manager and our county attorney are doing the research to make sure that what do we need to do to be in compliance with this law. So I kind of punted a little bit, but I didn't want to shoot from the hip on that one. So just let you know, county attorney, county manager, folks are paying attention to this, as we are, to make sure that they're interested in what we're going to do to comply with this new legislation. So having said that, I apologize I wasn't able to make it to the Take Stock in Children event, but congrats to all those folks. Does anyone want their nickel back?
Yeah, I
Commissioner Farmer.
just wanted to explain why I wasn't there at that Callahan event last night, and it's because I had already RSVP'd for the Take Stock in Children months prior. But I wanted to say that it sounds like from a couple emails that I've received that we've already got a pretty good homeless shelter going in Ewing Park. And I know it's a town of Callahan issue, but I did send some emails over to the sheriff, so hopefully he's gonna step up some enforcement in there. I'm sorry for the, people of town. Obviously, it's a town issue, but there's some people that are apparently living in the woods back there, and so hopefully law enforcement have some way to try to figure out what we can do. Apparently, some of the parents that sent me emails said that, they were saying obscene things in front of their children and vaping, and that's definitely not representative of Callahan. So hopefully we can move forward. We don't see that become a trend because, in the words of my dad, we'll burn it down. So, thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Farmer. And if there's nothing else, we're adjourned.